if you don't mind me saying real quick, another thing, just to give your viewers a tip here, the most important thing, since this is the money show, I want you to understand that why you have to get so good at your craft and get exposure so you can get multiple streams of income. Okay, this is very key. All right, and back then I didn't know this. I was selling cars. I thought I was doing really well at my dealership, and the people I was around, I was doing well. The problem is a lot of us are comparing ourselves to the people around us in our area instead of comparing us to our own potential. So even though I was very successful on the outside looking in, today when I look at it, I was like, man, I just didn't know any better, right? So that's why I spend every day telling people, like, look, you got to understand where you're going right now. Living in the car sales is not going to get you to the point where you have financial freedom, you have the wealth that you want, right? You have to get multiple streams of income. So what I did is decided to get really good at what I do, right? Become an expert in my field, parlay that into exposure, parlay that into a book, parlay that into coming up with my own conference with me and Glenn Lundy called Hustle and Grind, start my own Facebook group called Sales Hustlers, which branches off many different facets of making money through there. You got to have multiple streams of income. Every day morning when I wake up, I look at my bank account and there was money while I was asleep, right?
Yeah.
So this is real estate. It's another thing, flipping houses, however you want to do it. You got to have multiple streams, because if you only got one, you're not going to get wealthy. You're just not.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. This is the Money Show. It's the Monday Morning Money Show with Billy Merritt and Shawn Hayes today. And we've got a lot of comments going on. Thank you, Matt Pridemore, Sarah Stalker, for reaching out. Thank you. They're big fans of yours, Shawn. So tell us, let's break it down. Let's give 3 to 4 simple steps. You kind of mentioned there, but to someone who's a good salesperson, I'm going to commit to being a great salesperson. But you just said financial freedom. Do you believe in financial freedom? Do you believe that a salesperson can become financially free? We already talked about what that looked like, but can we get some bullet points? What can I do to establish myself financially free and to taste that good life? And how do I get multiple flows of income? What's the first few things I should start focusing on?
Well, some of the things we talked about today. First of all, you got to find out what your goals are, right? Mm-hmm. Just saying I want to be financially free or I want to make more money is not a goal, okay? Mm-hmm. It's not a goal because there's no path to get there. You got to understand what your goal is. So once you see the destination, kind of like a bullseye, once you see the bullseye, it's easier to target that bullseye. You go to a dartboard at any bar in America and you just throw your darts at the dartboard, they're going to hit random places. But if you can zero in on a certain target like that bullseye, you're going to come closer to hitting that bullseye. So first of all, you got to get your goals in place. You got to know what they are before you can have a path to get there. Second thing, you're going to have to change your lifestyle. You have to put some structure in. You got to put some discipline in. There's going to be some sacrifices to maybe the way you live and to the things that maybe you think you want. All right. You're going to have to. All right. Third thing is you got to sit your spouse down. All right. If you have a spouse or a better half, you've got to sit them down and explain to them what your goals are, what's going to be required of yourself and them to get there, and ask if they're on board. And you got to get their commitment, just like a car dealer. Do you see the value in this? Can I get your commitment to this? Because I'm going to have to do some changes and sacrifices, and maybe our relationship's going to sacrifice a little bit here or there, but the end outcome will be okay. All right. Then you got to do all the other little things, the discipline, the getting up early, like structuring your life differently, showing up work early, showing up for things differently. Then you got to become the best at what you do. Like, don't settle for second. Don't be okay with it. Like, change your attitude towards that every single day. Focus on becoming the best you. A lot of y'all got to look in the mirror and forgive yourself for your past, man. A lot of y'all got to deal with some of your demons, because when you, even if you get to that point where you're doing all the right things, you can't accept it. You can't allow yourself to be successful. You self-destruct and all those other things. You got to get okay with you, right? You got to get okay with who you are and forgive yourself from all the stuff. And that's very important. And a lot of us don't talk about that side of the business, but it's very, very important. You can't be healthy in business if you ain't healthy person, right? You got to get to that being healthy. And when you allow yourself that, when you allow yourself that forgiveness and that freedom and that you just kind of open up and change, If you got any secrets in your demons, Billy, you got to let them out, man. Got to let them out. You got to talk about them. Got to get them out. If you got to go to a therapist, you got to go be open on Facebook. However you like to do it, you got to let it go because that'll hold you back.
Shawn, you said, man, there's some, everyone needs to go back and start this thing over from the beginning and watch it again. There's so much good information. As I've said before, there's good information and there's bad information. What Shawn is bringing you today, as Bob Gasca said right there, is straight fire. There's some tons of great information that's worth talking about and repeating again. You said, look in the mirror. And number one, when you look in the mirror, you're taking responsibility for where your life's at. It is your fault or your, it's thank you that I made it, or either I got to work on myself. So take responsibility for everything. But then I love this part. Not many people talk about this. You got to forgive yourself. If you've made mistakes, and you can't waller, as you say, in guilt, you got to be able to take responsibility, but also forgive yourself.
Absolutely. It's so important. And a lot of my lives have to do with sales, but a lot of them have to do with the person. I was on a long freaking quest, man. This hadn't been easy. It took me a long time to get here. Hell, I was a troubled guy all the way to 32, 35 years old, literally troubled, very troubled, right? And the point too, I got to the point where I had to get this stuff out, let my childhood go, figure out, hey, where's the main problems? Talk about it. Let it heal. See, a lot of times we hold it down, we shove it down, we keep it hidden. And the problem is that doesn't heal you. And then when you get that success, you self-destruct or you can't sustain it. It's not long-term, it's short-term. And once you can get to the point where you're like, okay, when you talk about something, Billy, that's when you become free of it. You get it? It don't control me no more. Yeah. So I got to the point in my life where I became healthy. And when I was healthy and I had the right discipline and structure and talent, right? When I combined all those things, then I was like, boom, man, that's when it hit for me. And that's when I could sustain it. Like I've been doing the same thing for this long. Look, I ain't going nowhere. Why? Because it's in place now. I know what to do. I know how to become successful. I know how to stay there. And because I'm healthy.